Morning guys, Mr. Derry here. We are going to be taking on some interior walls, making sure our dimensions are correct, and if time allows we'll add some doors and windows to your house. So let's go ahead and get started. At this point in the game you should have already followed these two videos, bringing your plan into Revit and doing the exterior dimensions. I have made a copy of everybody's house, and I've also renamed them because some people didn't have them named with their last name. So I have a backup copy of your houses, and I'm going to demonstrate what we're going to need to do on each of these houses. So let's go ahead and get started. So first thing I'm going to do is go to View and just take a look at what this house looks like. And you can see that this house, this wall is in the correct orientation and this one's backwards, so we need to flip it. If I go to the top view, come down in here and click on this wall, whoops, I need to be in the floor plan view, excuse me. If I click on this wall, I can flip that back out. Alright, and in order for me to do that, I need to remove those dimensions. So before you go in and put your dimensions on your house, you want to make sure that it's in the correct orientation. So then you're going to have to go back and add those dimensions later on. So take a quick look at your house in the 3D view, go around the whole house and make sure all of your walls are in the correct orientation. Alright, you can just rotate around and zoom in. This wall also needs to be corrected. I'm going to let Tia do that on her own. So once you get all your walls in the correct orientation, then we got to take a look at putting in some interior walls. So what is that going to look like? I'm going to bring my template in, if you will, and line it up with my floor plan and go into setting up some walls. So under architecture here, we're going to go to wall and we're going to go to interior walls. And as we mentioned last class, the choice that we want is interior partition 4.5 inches. Alright, now where do we want to start? The base constraint should be the first floor. The top constraint should not be unconnected. It should be up to the second floor. Alright, we're going to adjust these later. We'll talk about what that means, but we're going to go ahead and leave that alone. So as I'm drawing here my interior walls, it looks like Tia put this wall in the wrong place. This wall actually belongs back here because that's a porch. But let me take on some interior walls over here. So I'm going to click right here and I'm going to go all the way to here and go right through those openings. Alright, where there's openings, there's a feature that we can put in there to put doors and so forth in. So I want you to go ahead and close these things all the way off, and we'll put in doors or openings later. So should look something like that. Alright, now depending on the plan, and we have some there's some interior walls here with a little pantry. I'm not going to draw all of them for her now, but like in this case there's an opening here, so we're going to assume that there's a door here and a door here. For whatever reason her floor plans are not including those. So if I were to go draw this, I would just come right here, draw this wall all the way to here, come over. I could close this wall off like this perhaps. And let me go ahead and draw in some of these walls as well. Here I'm just going to draw a wall all the way across. I'm not exactly sure how this house layout is, but we can trim things later on. Let's take a look at it in the 3D view for a moment. Alright, and you can see that these walls are just part of the first floor. So we can deal with the second floor at a later time, but I want to show you just that those are interior walls that are part of the first floor. I'm going to go back to the first floor again and show you what it would be like to put some doors in. So this is obviously a spot where there's a door. I'm going to go to architecture, I'm going to go to door. We'll talk more about the types of doors later on, but a standard bathroom door is probably a 32 inch flush door, something like this. And we're going to click right on that opening there, and you're going to see that there's several options for how the door goes in. Once the door is placed, you can grab the Modify command, click over here, and you can change which way it swings, and you can change whether or not it's swinging out of the room or into the room. Generally speaking, a residential house, the doors are going to swing into the room and they're going to swing up against a wall. So that's what it looks like to put a door in. In some cases, you're going to have an opening, like I'm not sure if there's a door into this utility room or an opening. I can show you how to put openings in as well. So if we go to Architecture and we go to Wall, we can just put an opening in a wall like this, and now it's just going to break that wall open. And depending on our view height, it may or may not show the top of that wall. Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go to the 3D view for a moment, and you're going to see that that wall that I just put an opening in is actually this opening right here. So that's how we put openings in. This is how we put doors in. That's how we're going to put our interior walls in. We're going to set them up to the levels. So my hope is that when I get back next week, I'm going to compare what you got done to what you had done on these. Primary job, first off, if you haven't done it though, is to make sure that you set all of those exterior dimensions as I pointed out in that other video. This is a really important video right here on adding the exterior dimensions. If you're someone who has a second floor plan, what you would do, just as an example, is if I go to the second floor plan, I would have to bring in a picture that, okay, so I'm on my second floor plan, make sure that's highlighted, and then we're going to go to Image and pull in a floor plan. Now, I don't know if Utia has a floor plan. I'm just going to pull in, hopefully she has one on the from the first floor, and I'll just see what shows up if I do that. Obviously you would have to save that picture to your folder. Hopefully she has one in here. Not there. Okay, here we go. First floor plan. So we would need the second floor plan. I don't know if this is the second. That's not it. Well, I'm going to pretend that the first floor is the second floor and bring that in. Likewise, you would need to scale that up for what you need, and then you can get right at it with the second floor. If you have a second floor, you'd have to scale it so that it matches what's below, and then you can get started. You may have noticed that there's grayed out lines here, so we can see through the floor to what we drew on the first floor level. Some cases you're going to have walls that go on top of walls. We'll talk about that later with a structural component. But many cases you'll just have independent walls that are going as part of your second floor. The key though is, I'm going to get that out of the way because I don't actually have a second floor plan. The key though is when you go to Architecture and you pick Wall, again we're going to pick the basic interior walls, but in this case the base constraint should say the second floor, and this one should be up to the roof. So as I start drawing with my second floor walls, I'm just going to draw a couple of them here, and then I go to my 3D view. You can see that those walls are unique to my second floor. So we've got second floor walls, first floor walls, style of walls. If you haven't set your exterior walls correctly, do that. Get the measurements in, go do that. I'll just quickly review how to put doors and windows in again, and then we should be all set. So I'm going to go back to the top view here, and I'm going to make sure I'm on my second floor. Notice 3D was highlighted, not second floor. I'm on my second floor. So to put a door in, I'm going to go ahead and click here, and whoops, I've got wall. Put a door in. All right. So I might have a door somewhere in here for my bedroom. I can always change the style of door later on, and I can change which way it swings. So I wouldn't worry too much about that right now. Now when you're putting windows in, often they get adjusted on the exterior of the house. But just to see what that looks like, if you want to have a little fun popping some windows in. And notice that this window got put in the opposite direction that this window is. So you want to make sure you've got the exterior of the window pointed out. And I'm not actually sure if that's the exterior. I'm going to double check it with a sectional view. And to do a sectional view, we'll come out here and let me show you what it means. Click that like that. Double click on this and we can take a close-up view of our window. And it appears that I put a casement window in. I'm going to switch to a double hung window, or that's a fixed window rather. I'm going to switch to a double hung window for my bedroom. And all right, and now you can see, now on a double hung window, the outside sash is the one that's further out and the inside sash is like this. So this window is installed in the correct orientation. I'm going to go down here to switch to fine view, and I'm going to go to thin lines, and you're going to see that that's the exterior sill on my window. Now what does that look like from the outside? I can go to 3D view and take a look at it here. See what my window looks like. This corner would be a little better. So I switched that to a double hung window. You can see what that looks like, and that window is installed properly. You can also now take a look at elevations. So if I go to the top view of my house, I know that this is the west side of my house. So if I double click on that, you can see those are the windows. You can move windows around here. But you need to be careful, because if you move a window, you might move it right into where there's a wall on the second floor. So that's pretty darn close. So you're going to be switching back and forth between views, between your second floor, first floor, and your elevation views to get those windows in. Now, I know I've been talking for 10-12 minutes here, and I covered a lot of ground. My goal is that you make some forward progress with your houses, hopefully getting some interior walls set, definitely getting the exterior walls to the correct dimensions, and doing that. Next out, we'll talk about putting the foundations in.